Good morning, everyone. A very good day to my lecturer and my classmate. My name is Kunarthi Anapampa Sivakumar. Today, I am going to present a topic which is learning approaches, cognitive, behaviorist, and humanistic. This is an important topic because every teacher need to understand how students learn. If we know how students learn, we can choose teaching methods that make learning more effective, interesting, and meaningful. Every student is different. Some students learn best by thinking and solving problems. Some learn through practice and rewards, while others learn best when they feel supported, respected, and motivated. Therefore, understanding different learning theories help teacher meet the needs of all students. In today's presentation, I will explain three major learning approaches. First is the cognitive learning theory, which focus on thinking and understanding. Second is the behaviorist learning theory, which focus on learning through reinforcement and change in behavior. Finally, we will explain the humanistic learning theory, which focus on personal growth, emotions, and motivation. I will also discuss the strength, limitation, and classroom application of each theory because comparing them at the end of the presentation. Let me begin with the cognitive learning theory. The words cognitive simply means thinking. This theory focuses on what happened inside the learner mind. It explains how students receive information, understand it, organize it, remember it, and use it when solving problems. Unlike behaviorism, which mainly look at action, what that we can see, cognitive theory believes that learning is mental process. Students are not empty container waiting to be filled with information. Instead, they are active learning who think, ask questions, make connection, and build their own understanding. This approach encourages students to understand ideas instead of memorizing facts. It also helps students become independent learners who can solve problems in different situations. There are three important theories uh, in cognitive learning theory, which is the first is Jean Piaget, who believes that children develop their thinking skill through different stages and their growth. According to the Piaget, teachers should understand the age and developmental level of student because young children think differently from older students. Learning activity should be suitable for the student level of thinking. The second is Vygotsky, who believed that learning happens through social interaction. He introduced the idea that students can learn better when work with teachers, parents, or classmates who provide guidance and support. He called this the zone of proximal development, where students can achieve more with help than they can alone. The third theory is Brunner, who believed the student learn best through discover learning. Instead of giving students all the answer, teachers should encourage them to explore, investigate, and discover knowledge by themselves. In the classroom, cognitive learning can be applied in many ways. For example, during a maths lesson, instead of immediate teaching a formula, the teacher can give students a real life problem and ask them to think about different ways to solve it. Students discuss their ideas with classmates, compare different answers, and explain why they choose a particular solution. In science, students can conduct experiment, make prediction, observe the result, and explain what they have learned. In English, teachers can ask students to analyze a story, explain the character action, and predict what may happen next. This activity encourages students to think deeply instead of simply memorizing information. Teachers also ask open-ended questions such as why do you think this happened? Or can you explain your answer? This question helps students develop critical thinking and reasoning skills. The cognitive learning theory has many strengths. An important strength is the develop higher order think skills such as analyzing, evaluate, problem solving. Students become active learning because they participate in discussion instead of only listening to lecture. They also understand concept more deeply, which help them remember information for a long time. Another strength is that students become more independent because they learn how to think themselves rather than depending on the teacher or for every answer. However, this theory also has some limitation. Some students may struggle if they do not have enough background knowledge. Younger learners may also find complex thinking activity difficult. In addition, cognitive learning often requires more classroom time because students need opportunities to discuss, explore, or problem solve it. Even these challenges, cognitive learning remain on the most valuable approach because it prepares students to become lifelong learners. Now, let us move to the behaviorist learning theory. Unlike the cognitive approach, behavioral focus on behavior that can be observed. Because behavior believes that learning happens when there is a change in behavior after student experience certain situation. According to this theory, students learn through repetition, practice, rewards, and consequences. Teacher do not need to understand what students are thinking because learning is measured by observing changes in behavior. If students repeatedly show the correct behavior, it means learning has taken place. Three famous psychologists contribute to behaviorist learning theory. The first is Pavlov, who is well known for his experience with dogs. He discovered that behavior could be learned by connecting on even with another, a process called classic conditioning. The second theorist is John Watson, who believed psychology should only study behavior that can be observed instead of focusing on thoughts and emotion. The third and most influential theory is Skinner, who introduced operant condition. Skinner explained that behavior can be increased through positive reinforcement, such as praise or rewards, and reduced through punishment or negative consequences. These ideas are still widely used in school today. Behaviorist strategies are common in many classrooms. For example, teacher often praise student one who answer question correctly by saying excellent work or well done. Student may receive stickers, stars, certificates, or points when they are complete assignments, behave well, or participate actively in class. Some teachers use token system where students collect points that can later exchange for small rewards. Behaviorist learning is also used during spelling practice, multiplication drills, reading exercise, language learning, where students repeat activities several times until they master the skill. Classroom rules also reflect behaviorist principles because students know that following the rules leads to work leads to rewards while breaking them leads to consequences. Behaviorism has a many advantages. First, it's very effective for teaching basic knowledge and skills the regular repetition, such as reading, spelling, mathematics, and handwriting. It also helps teachers manage classroom behavior by creating clear expectations and routines. Students know exactly what behavior is expected, making the classroom more organized and disciplined. Furthermore, the rewards can increase participation, especially among younger learners. However, behavior also has limitations. Students may become too dependent on rewards and may only complete tasks because they expect something in return. This reduces intrinsic motivation, which means students may not enjoy learning for its own sake. Behaviorism also pays less attention to creativity, emotion, imagination, and critical thinking because the main focus is on observable behavior. Therefore, while behaviorism is effective for teaching basic skills, our classroom management it should be combined with other learning approach for more meaningful learning. Next, I will explain the humanistic learning theory. This theory is very different from both cognitive and behavioral approach because it focuses on the whole person. Humanistic learning emphasizes student emotion, feeling, personal growth, self-confidence, and individual potential. Humanists believe that students learn best when they feel safe, respected, accepted, and motivated. They also believe that education should not only develop academic knowledge but should also help students become confident, responsible, and caring individuals. In this approach, teachers are not simply instructors. Instead, they become guide mentors or facilitators who encourage students to develop their full potential. The two main theories in humanistic learning theory are Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. Maslow introduced the famous hierarchy of needs. According to the Maslow, students must first satisfy their basic needs, such as food, safety, love, belonging, before they can focus on learning. If students are very hungry, feels unsafe, they cannot concentrate in class. Carl Rogers believes that learning becomes meaningful when students are in their actively involved in their own learning. He encouraged teachers to a creative support classroom where students feel free to express their opinion, ask question, and make choice about their learning. Rogers also believed that teachers should build trusting relationship with students because positive relation increase confidence and motivation. Humanistic learning can be seen in many classroom situations. For example, during a science lesson about plants, instead of giving students detailed instruction for every step, the teacher allows students to choose the plants they want to grow. Students work together, observe the growth of their plants, record their findings, and share their experience with the class. The teacher provides guidance whenever necessary, but allows students to take responsibility for their learning. Another example is project-based learning, where students select topic based on their interest and present their work creatively. Teacher also encourage students reflect on what they have learned and how they can improve the activity, make learning more enjoyable and meaningful because students feel involved in the learning process. The humanistic learning theory offers many benefits, including student confidence and self-esteem because every student feels respected and valued. It encourages creativity, independent responsibility, and lifelong learning. Students become motivational and they enjoy learning rather simple working for everyone. Humanistic classroom also create positive relation between teacher and student, making the learning environment safe and support. However, the approach also has some challenges. It requires teachers spend more time understanding student individual needs. It may also be difficult to apply a large classroom where to sorry. Now let us compare these three learning approaches. Although each theory has different idea about learning, they also contribute to affect teacher. The cognitive learning theory focus on thinking, understanding, memory, and problem solving. The behaviorist learning theory focus on observable behavior reinforcement, repetition, and practice. Meanwhile, the humanistic learning theory focus on emotion, personal growth, self-confidence, and motivation. Each theory each theory has strength and weakness, so teachers should not depend on only one approach. Instead, effective teacher combine different strategy according to the student needs learning about objective. For example, behavior method can be used to establish classroom rules and teach basic skill. Cognitive method can develop student thinking and problem solving. Humanistic method can create positive classroom and motivate respected confident. In conclusion, all three learning theories play an important role in education. Cognitive learning theory student how to think critically and solve problem. Behavior learning help a student develop good habits, master basic skills, and follow classroom expectation through reinforcement. And humanistic learning remind us that students are individual with emotion, personal goals, and unique abilities that should be respected and supported. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I hope this presentation has helped everyone understand the cognitive, behaviorist, and humanistic learning approach more clearly. I truly appreciate your attention, and I'm now happy to answer any question that you have. Thank you once again.